The first thing to do is, of course, to open the module. You can do that from the File menu, or if it's already in your menu and you've opened the module, just double click on it. This setup is showing what happens if you have the startup wizard enabled, and in that case you just click the button to start an online game, select New Game, and then you're going to choose which color you want to play, and then finally the map that you want to use. All of the published maps are listed at the top of this long drop-down list, and then there are about 18 or 20 or so print and play maps that are below that. The module itself has links to the rules for all those things. After you click that, it takes a few seconds, but the module will open a window showing the game map. The power plants are accessed by clicking that button that says Power Plants Plus. That's the main window that you'll need to have open, and I prefer this arrangement with the game map on the left, the power plants window in the middle, and then my own personal hand, yellow in this case, on the right. This is showing how you join a game. This is another player, does the same process, and now is going to click Look for Online Game. The online interface is over on the right side at the top of the screen there, and you just double click into the name of the game room that whoever set up the game, the yellow player in this case, has set up already. If the window doesn't synchronize automatically, then you right click on their name and choose the synchronize option. And once Vassal synchronizes, you'll see the same game map setup that the setting up player has done. So now we'll have a turn or two of the yellow player versus the purple player. Just a couple of comments about the interface. All the game modules have setup buttons, and then there's the setup button in the power plants window as well in the middle. The game map buttons are all designed to support the recharged rule set, and you click it and choose the number of players and hit OK, and the scripting will take care of all the setup stuff, the clearing of extraneous supply cards, discarding plants, setting up the market, all that stuff. And also deletes the setup button that used to be in the power plants window in the center there. That button is designed to be sort of a generic button. It's always there, and if you choose to play a map with the original first edition rules, you can sort of use that to help you navigate. That same button now says Step 1, and when you transition from Step 1 to Step 2, you'll click that and it'll take care of the maintenance sort of things. And Step 2 to Step 3, same deal. So now we roll for turn order. There's a button at the top that says roll for turn order. It's a 1,000-sided die. Both players just click it, and then you arrange the little houses in that initial turn order. I should have put a couple of houses on the game map as well on the city track. I remembered to do that in a few minutes, but ideally that should have happened manually as well. So now we're doing the first turn auction. For power plants, you put the power plant you want up for auction at the top of the window. And this is just the players bidding back and forth. Yellow bids 5, purple bids 6, yellow is bidding 7. Whatever, you go back and forth, back and forth. Each player has a little button that toggles between bid, pass, and out to indicate whether you're still in the bidding round, or if you passed, or once you acquire a plant, you're out. It's not relevant in a game where you have a good voice connection, but it's helpful sometimes. Anyway, yellow is won and can pay by right-clicking on their money pile, choosing 7, that was the winning bid, and dragging that money over to the yellow box. That's sort of the yellow teller's box. All those boxes are extensions of the bank, one box for each player. So they won. After they have won, they click the Draw New Plant button at the top of the window just below where the auction plant is, and that cleans up the market. And then purple now is buying for 10 electro, and they just click the button that says pay 10, and that moves money from their personal wallet, their purple window there, over into the purple teller box. At the end of each phase, you have to remember to clear the bank. So if you're sending money to the bank, you click the long arrow to the left of all the teller boxes that's pointing up towards the bank. I sometimes forget to do that, but you have to get the habit of doing that every time. And you can use the section here where the mouse is now, instead of the city track on the board, to keep track both of the turn order and the phases. So as you move from phase to phase, you drop your token down, and we've updated the new turn order. And now yellow is going to be buying resources. Again, I forgot to clear the bank, so I will do that in just a second or two. So I jumped the gun a little bit by drawing resources. But when you're buying resources, you just drag them. So when you draw resources, you drag them from the market at the very bottom into that little shopping cart, the tiny little box below all the teller boxes. And the red number to the left displays a running total of the cost. And then you just drag it up to where you want. You have to do this stuff manually. So drag the fuels to the respective plants. And when you're done, drop your house down to the next step. And then purple will go. There are little tiny numbers, at least tiny on the screen right now, but below each pile of houses, there's a number / another number. The first number is the number of cities that you've built on the map, and then the second number is your highest power plant. So you can use that to assist in setting up turn order in the future. The city numbers only update when you finish a game's phase and move your house down to the next phase. In this sample video, I had forgotten to put the initial houses up in the city track, so the city count is currently not accurate. Yellow builds first by just dragging a house from their pile of houses directly onto the Australia map. So yellow is still paying money the slow way by right-clicking on their pile of money, choosing how much to pay, and dragging it over. The buttons in the yellow window, the pay 1, pay 5, pay 10, pay 25, are much simpler and quicker to use, which is what purple is doing. So purple is now going to build, and the building is just simply you drag your purple houses, your yellow houses, whatever, directly to the map. As you drag things to the map, when you play in real life, you can normally just turn them sideways so you know which ones you've built. In the Vassal module, instead, you have a little yellow arrow that pops up above your house. You can clear those arrows at the end of the step by clicking the clear button at the top of the Australia window. Very top of the screen here to the far right, there's a button that says clear. So that's how you clear the arrows. There are other ways you can highlight things. If you click on a house or a fuel source and hit Control S to show other people what you're doing, it'll highlight somehow. And there's a remove highlights button that takes care of those highlights as well. Anyway, we have done building. Now we're doing bureaucracy. Ideally, yellow is powering one city, and the simple way would be to click that one button, but they're still doing things the hard way, so they will right-click on the bank pile, choose 22 in this case, and drag that down to their teller window. Select the fuel and hit Control R to return it to the supply. And then, purple's already done that. Once everyone has paid, then you click the arrow buttons to the right, and that sends the money to the right, to the players, from the teller window to the players. Then, the next step of bureaucracy is to update the power plant market. Clicking that button takes care of doing whatever it's supposed to do, whether it's step 1, step 2, or step 3. And then there is a update resources step. In this particular example, Australia has its own unique resource button because it handles fuel differently. So you click the update resource button on the map itself. Most maps, however, use the standard update resource technique. So the button in the power plants window would be active that says update resources. Or you click the button, or you can do all that stuff manually if you like, but I don't suggest that. It's just more work than it's worth. So we've done turn 1, now we go to turn 2. We can update the turn order based on the number of cities and power plants, which is done. And now we're going to auction power plants. Yellow is first. Again, you drag that power plant up to the top, and there's some bidding back and forth, while one person is clearing the power plant and paying for it. Some other player could click the Draw New Plant button at the top, which will refresh the market automatically. The rest of the game is basically a very straightforward process. As you get to step 2 and step 3, if you click again the step button, the big button on the map window, it will automatically bury the appropriate plant, remove the appropriate plant, draw whatever, and update the market like it's supposed to. It will also update the fuel resupply rates appropriate for the player count and game step. You can do all that stuff manually if you like. There are buttons at the top of the screen that allow you to update the resource replenishment rates yourself. But again, it's pre-programmed into all of the scripting for all the maps, so it's simpler to do that stuff. Also, as you play, you can pay attention to the messages in the top of the screen that generally tell you what's happening, what's being buried, what plant is added to the market, etc. The rest of the game is uncomplicated. At the end of the game, if there's a tie, just have every player send all their money to the teller boxes, and then everyone can visually confirm that whoever the winner is actually has the money they say that they have. Otherwise, no one has access to be able to see anyone else's personal window. So the money is kept secret. It's all trackable, of course, but it's secret. The one exception is if someone chooses the player role observer, they might have access to all the colors. Here are a few seconds of some very sped up gameplay. This was not a complete tutorial, but there's more information in the help files of the module itself, and most things you can right-click on and discover all the extra commands available to you just as you play the game.